Stuff. Yeah, I hear stuff. Stuff. If you've been through some stuff in this house, go ahead and just raise your hand in here. Amen. Good stuff, bad stuff, just stuff after stuff after stuff after stuff. And you're wondering, when will this stuff end?
Come on.
You've carried it for so many years and you just like, the cycle just keeps going, stuff and stuff and stuff. And I said, God, I hear the word stuff, but I want you to, I'm a Google person sometimes. I'm like, God, it may be a simple word, but I need you to tell me what stuff means. So I said, okay, God, I tried to go and get a dictionary, see if it was going to say something different from what Google was saying. And then I listened to Google again. I got the home Google. I said, Google, tell me what stuff means. She says, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that. And I said, well, okay, I'm going to try it one more time. Let me go to my Chrome, and I'm going to look up and see what stuff is. And stuff was just saying it's material used to make something. And so when I read it again, I said, well, God, I don't really see where we're going with this. I said, it's material used to make something. And so what came to my mind is that everything that you've gone through, it was to make you for who you are. Understand what I'm saying? So we don't understand the stuff sometimes that we go through, but it was all necessary for us. Amen? So the stuff that we don't understand, we still have to thank God for the stuff. That's okay, God, I need a little more. I need a little more. I said, you got to show me a little more because I want to make this a little more plain outside of the stuff. We're going to get to the scripture in just a moment. But and I said, okay, God, you have to show me something else where I can understand this a little better. I went to thinking about stuff again. And I said, okay, God, I visualized a plant. And I said, before the plant is planted, it's a seed. And I said, this little bitty seed, it has a purpose. And the purpose, I started thinking of us as the seed. And I told him, I said, now, God, how does this seed grow to be a plant? It had to go through some stuff in order for it to become the plant that it was. And I said, okay, God, well, show me how a plant is made. What's the things that's needed to make a good plant? And then I began to read a little more. It said, first, to plant a plant, it needs to have good soil. Fertile soil. Yeah. So when I said, okay, God, help me with what you're saying on this, you need to have good soil. So there's some dirt. Somebody understand what I'm talking about? There's some dirt and some scandalizing that had to go on in your life in order for you to be where you are on today. And then it said it has to have some water. You got to have some water, and you got to have some rain. You got to have some stormy nights. You got to have some wet nights. And sometimes the rain helps you to grow. You don't understand sometimes why you're left out in the cold, why you're left out in the rain, but the rain is going to help that plant to grow. And it says also it needs to have light. If it doesn't have light, it's not going to grow properly. You ever seen somebody who get a plant and put it right by their window at the house and they have to have the sunlight to shine on it? I began to think, said, God, in order for me to grow, I got to have your light. I got to have your word to shine on me. If your light is not shining on me, I'm not going to be able to grow. So that's what I got from the word stuff, amen? So we're going to get a little deeper off into the word stuff, but I love Psalms. That's where we're going, and I was saying, God, you got to help me. I've been tearing, I told Pastor and Lady this yesterday, I've been writing this since he told me in Italy that we were going to have to speak. And I always love reading Psalms. It's something about, I guess, because I'm in the music realm, I feel sometimes that I'm dated sometimes, and I'm going like, I'm looking at myself when I read some of the stuff that David go through. And I know many of you all have read David. You know the story of David. You heard it in Sunday school. So I went back and I looked at 1 Samuel and 2 Samuel. I said, God, now how can I bring all of this to them so they can understand who David is? So I'm going to ask you all to do the work and go home and read 1 Samuel and 2 Samuel, and it'll catch you up for who David is. But to bring you to before David was a king, David was already anointed. He was he was the black sheep of the family. He had other brothers and all this. And Jesse, he had 8 sons, and David was the youngest son who was overlooked. God had already ordained him that he was going to be a king. He didn't know he was going to be a king. They came to looking for a king to replace Saul. And I said Saul to me, and I started laughing when I started thinking about it. You're going to have to read the story. Saul was getting ready to be impeached, like number 45. And I started reading and God had taken his hand off of Saul. So he needed somebody who could carry his word out. someone who could be the ruler, and he found favor in David. Y'all read the story, y'all will get it. But David, y'all know how he slayed Goliath and the lion and all those things. And one of the things that caught my attention was Psalm 51. Do y'all have it up there? Do y'all have it?
Here it is.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, so, all right. I'm trying to be like my pastor, First Lady. You got it. All right. You gotta pull up. And while I'm talking, the topic tonight, and I got a little carried away, and I'm sorry about that. Fix my life. Anybody need their life fixing while they're doing that? I need a fixing. I don't know about you all. I need a fixing. There are some things in my life that God is the only one who can fix, you know. And that was one of the things that was one of the steps, and I might even get to that, so maybe y'all needed to see that. But before you can be fixed, you got to acknowledge that you have an issue and you need to be fixed. Amen?
Amen.
So back to Psalms 51. I'm taking you all back to that if they have that up. All right. Well, this is hard. I don't see how y'all do this. Y'all got it? Psalms 51. Is that it? Excuse me 1 second now. Okay, y'all help me read this, all right?
For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me.
Read, y'all.
Against me. I have sinned and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, thy desires.
In the inward part, and in the hidden part, thou shalt make me to know this.
All right. See, I was reading the New Translation Version when I was studying this, so I'm going to read what I was reading in the New Translation Bible while I was doing my studying, so you all can kind of get it. So David had messed up. David had a friend who was in the military. I'm going to kind of just short it up. David had a friend who was in the military who was his best friend, but David had so much stuff going on in the inside, and I told somebody that David was a O. David was an O. So we're going to use those words. You know, grown-ups, y'all go ahead but something got a hold of David one day. That spirit man got a hold of David one day, and he saw this fine young lady named Bathsheba who was taking a shower outside. Y'all know the story, right? And David's friend was in the military. And because that spirit was in him, he was still chasing after God's heart. He was a man of God's heart, but he still had some stuff on the inside. And that's like us, right? We can still be chasing after God's heart, but we still have some stuff on the inside that he needs to fix on us. But long story short, in that, David had his best friend killed so he can be with his wife. And that's where that comes from, Psalm 51. And he was just asking God, God, forgive me, because I've sinned. Before you wash me, and I'll be whiter than snow. Purge me with hyssop, and then I shall be clean. And so that's what David was talking about in the Psalms 51. I wanted to go through and read all of it, but we read it just a moment. But I just wanted to come in and do the work, amen, because we are on assignment tonight. And I just wanted to kind of just recap all that in to let you all know where we are. And we all have some stuff going on in our life. And then as I began to study this stuff, I'm going to say, like, when I began to study this stuff a little more, I began to think about the church. I dressed up like this intentionally. I said, we come in on Sunday morning, we're dressed up, we're clean. We've got so now that we can't say, hallelujah. We got it all down. We so deep now, hallelujah. Hallelujah. We don't even have to use a full word, but we're dirty and we got stuff in the inside, amen? And but we don't want to bring, and I'm not going to say it, my friend Marsha, he's probably not here. I told Marsha, I said, the Lord told me to bring my laundry basket. He said, don't you bring that dirty laundry up in here. Now, isn't that just strange? And I'm not throwing Marshall under the bus, that we don't want the people to bring their stuff in the church. If we're the hospital, they should be able to bring their stuff. They should be able to bring their dirty laundry in the hospital without being judged. Amen? So we as the church, we got to learn that people are going to have stuff They're going to have issues, but we've got to learn how to pray for them in their stuff. Amen? And then I did one more step, and I said, God, I said, this stuff thing is still on me. I told him, I said, now I had to reach out to a couple of people, and I said, I want y'all to tell me something that may have been bothering you, something that you never really talked to anybody about. And that stuff has just been eating away at you like cancer. So I began to say, okay, God, we still got this thing dressed up. But then when I began to think of it, I said, God, we got it dressed up. But when we began to open ourselves up, excuse me one moment.